Did you miss me? Because I missed you. It's been a while since I've done one of these, so might be a bit rusty, so me. And I'm back. After a long hiatus and texting and typing most of my updates to my blog, I am back to do my video version of Picks for the Week. We are now in week 14, which now the playoff picture is starting to shape up. Teams that are in the running to win their divisions or to clinch a playoff berth, they're emerging, or in the case of 4 teams in the NFL, 3 in the AFC, they've already clinched. They've already clinched the playoff spot, if not their division outright. The Atlanta Falcons have clinched the playoff berth, and they've won the NFC South. They have no worries. They're just their main thing is getting a first-round bye, if not home field advantage. And also, New England, they are the AFC East champs. They're in, so they have nothing to worry about. Houston has clinched a playoff berth, and the Denver Broncos have won the AFC West. So those 4 teams really, at this point, are just jockeying for position and better seeding and the coveted first-round bye, home field advantage, etc. Week 14, these 4 teams, let me go back a little bit. Atlanta and Houston, they have an opportunity to actually not only clinch a first-round bye, but to actually clinch home field advantage for their respective conferences. And I'll get to that in a moment. Also, this week, we have 2 teams that have an opportunity to clinch a playoff spot, that being the Baltimore Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers, they need a lot of help this week just to get a playoff spot. It can be obtained, but they got to have a lot of help. For one, they got to win, and I'll get to them in a moment, but they also need a lot of help to get in this early, I should add. Baltimore, their path is a little bit easier. Heck, they can even win their division in addition to clinching the playoff spot, and I'll get to that in a moment as well. But last week I was 10-6. That bumps me up to a grand total of 123, 69, and 1 so far this season. So without further ado, and drawing this whole thing out, let's get to the picks. You already know my quick pick, Denver at Oakland. Got that one right, so boom, done with that one. St. Louis at Buffalo. The Rams are riding high. They knocked off the San Francisco 49ers at St. Louis. And they're traveling up to Buffalo to take on the Buffalo Bills, who have a sliver, just a cracked window of opportunity to still be in contention for a wild card. St. Louis is the same. I'm picking the Buffalo Bills in this one. Why? The Rams are traveling to Buffalo, and they're playing outdoors. Now, of course, you say the Rams, they got up for the 49ers, they tied them in one, beat them in the other. They took on a powerhouse team and took them down. That's true, but they're familiar with this team. They're not familiar with the Buffalo Bills, and they're going to Buffalo. And the Rams, much like the Seahawks, they're not a good road team. And then on top of that, 4 of the 5 wins that the St. Louis Rams have all come within the NFC West. They've won 80% of their games within their division. They're actually 4-0-1 in that division, shockingly. So, division-wise, yeah, they're the cream of the crop, but it's the NFL in general. And I just don't like their chances. Even though Buffalo is schizophrenic, one moment they'll have glimpses of a great defense and glimpses of a complete team, and then they're the Bills that pretty much give up 30, 40 points and have a defense that's a sieve. But they're at home, and they're getting a Rams team that's probably still riding high off that Niners victory, and this is a hangover for them. Neither team can afford to lose this game, but somebody's got to lose it. Hell, they might even tie it. Yes, St. Louis, I'm looking at you. But I have the Buffalo Bills in this one. So, moving forward, we have the Atlanta Falcons at the Carolina Panthers. Now, I already discussed that the Atlanta Falcons have already not only clinched a playoff spot, but they've won their division. So what's left for them? Home field advantage, a first-round bye. They're looking to clinch that this week. And here's how they can do that. So I'm going to go to my handy dandy notepad here, Playboy or Playgirl, if the ladies are watching this. Atlanta can clinch a first round bye if they win and the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers lose or tie today. Also, they can clinch a first round bye if they win and the 49ers lose. And they can also clinch a first round bye if the Falcons tie and the Bears and Packers lose. So they have 3 scenarios where they can clinch a first round bye. 2 of them, they have to win or they tie. And if they do that, they would need the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers to lose, and they would need the 49ers to lose. So, that's that. Now, here's another golden caveat for the Atlanta Falcons. They can clinch home field advantage today if they win and also have this. If they also, excuse me, let me start this over. Like I said, I'm rusty here, so forgive me, people. They can clinch home field advantage with a win and losses by the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers and a loss by the San Francisco 49ers. Matter of fact, if the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears tie or lose and the San Francisco 49ers lose and the Falcons win, they're the number 1 seed in the NFC. Simple as that. And I have them winning today. Simple as that. The Carolina Panthers, they are, the team is fluff. For a team with Cam Newton and D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart and Brandon LaFell and Steve Smith, you just for a team, for them to have that much talent, for them to be that bad, it's bad. And Ron Rivera, let's just say the sand in your hourglass, most of it's at the bottom. Time is ticking on you, buddy, and the Falcons aren't going to help your cause. So I have Atlanta. Moving forward, we have another game where there are 2 teams fighting for their playoff lives. The Dallas Cowboys travel to Cincinnati to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, the Dallas Cowboys, matter of fact, yesterday just dealt with some tragedy. 2 players from their practice squad were in a car accident. One didn't make it, and another one is arrested for it. So they travel to Cincinnati with that weighing on their heads, and also facing a Cincinnati Bengals team whose defense leads the league in sacks. And if you watch the Dallas Cowboys, you know their offensive line is terrible. And they're playing Cincinnati at home. I like the Bengals. Shocker, ain't it? I like the Bengals. I like the Bengals at home. Andy Dalton and A.J. Green, can't speak enough about how great they've been. Ben Jarvis Green Ellis, he's definitely made the Bengals forget about Cedric Benson. He's running well. And like I said, that defense. That defense is Geno Atkins and, heck, even Terrence Newman's playing well with that team. And hey, he gets to play his old team in this one. So, he's going to be extra motivated for this one. But Cincinnati, that defense against the Dallas Cowboys offensive line, I like the Bengals in this one. And, yeah, I'd say Dallas's playoff hopes are after today. So, moving forward, this next game that I'm getting ready to discuss, wow, God bless both of these franchises. And I'm not even going to talk about them just being terrible as far as their season, but dealing with what they had to deal with. And of course, I'm referring to the Kansas City Chiefs traveling to Cleveland to take on the Cleveland Browns. I think we all know what the Kansas City Chiefs had to deal with the whole Javon Belcher situation, which is the NFL's version of Chris Benoit at this point. And the Cleveland Browns, who had an employee in their groundskeeping hang himself the same day the whole Belcher thing went down. So this is a very, man, wow, yeah, I'm at a loss for words. This is going to be one of those games where the game is going to take a back seat to what happened to both of these franchises respectively. But this is an NFL blog, so we will discuss the NFL. We will discuss the game that is going to happen, the actual on-field stuff. And Cleveland has a little bit more firepower than Kansas City. Kansas City, of course, they came off this emotional victory with the Carolina Panthers in lieu of what happened with the Belcher situation the day before they even played Carolina. But I think that momentum won't carry. And I hate to use the word momentum in that situation, but that's what it was. I just don't see them doing this at Cleveland. I think that Trent Richardson, they're going to get a heavy dose of him, and Whedon will not make many mistakes at home. I like Cleveland. I mean, Kansas City is still, Belcher thing aside, they're still a terrible team, and they're the number one pick, or they're the team that's going to have the number one pick before when the season's done. So I really don't see Kansas City getting a victory in Cleveland on this one. And this is Romeo Crennel's old team at that too. So and of course there's the whole Peyton Hillis Joe Thomas saga that's been going on. So I mean there's storylines that are outside of the tragedy that are within this game. So having said that, I have Cleveland. Moving forward, we have the Tennessee Titans taking on the Indianapolis Colts in an AFC South matchup. The Colts have been, without a doubt, the most surprising team in the NFL. I mean, of course, they tell Peyton Manning, hey, we're not picking up your tab, your neck is broke, go somewhere else. So they have Andrew Luck. I mean, it's a new-look team, new coach, new quarterback, new offensive talent. I mean, and they are sitting pretty right now. They are absolutely doing tremendous. I mean, what are they 8-4 right now? Think about that. I had this team pegged at best 6-10. So they've thoroughly exceeded expectations, and they are in the thick of the AFC playoff race. They're sitting at least at the 6th seed right now. And they still have a chance to win that division, shockingly. Because they still have 2 games to play with the Houston Texans, which they will play in 3 weeks. They'll play the Houston Texans twice in 3 weeks. And should Houston lose to New England and Indy wins, the AFC South has a race, ladies and gentlemen. And I think they helped their cause today. I think the Colts are playing at home. They play well at home. I've stated that time and time again. And Andrew Luck, if RG3 wasn't doing what he was doing, we'd be talking about Luck. I think Luck's clutch gene is stronger than RG3's. But that's not to knock RG3. I mean, both of these QBs, 1 and 2, they have done an excellent job with the way that they've handled being the generals of their teams, respectively. And Andrew Luck, like I said, he's earned his number 1 pick this season. And he's going to do it again because Tennessee, they're just playing for pride at this point. They're just, they already fired their offensive coordinator. I mean, Jake Locker, the jury's still out on him. This team is a jumbled mess. And Munchak, I think he's on the clock too as far as his job stability. And like I said, they're playing for pride, and the Colts aren't going to let them have it. So I'm picking the Colts at home. Next up, you have the New York Jets at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, this is my ramen noodle game of the week. Like, basically, if you ain't got nothing else to eat and you just see that pack of ramen, take what you can get. So if this is the only game you're going to get to watch, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry you were dealt a cruel hand, but it is what it is. The Jets are coming off one of the ugliest wins where they beat the Arizona Cardinals 7-6. Mark Sanchez was benched in this game. He threw 3 interceptions in this game. He was benched for Greg McElroy. Why did Greg McElroy play? Because Tim Tebow was hurt. And, of course, Tim Tebow is going to Jacksonville. He's going back to the state of Florida, where he's pretty much a king there. And, of course, the storyline's about the what-ifs. What if the Jacksonville Jaguars picked up Tim Tebow? What would have happened? Well, not gonna know because he's with the Jets, but, of course, that's just fodder for the sports media. But the Jags have been playing a hell of a lot better now that Chad Henne has been under center, taking over for Blaine Gabbert, who B-U-S-T. Those letters are circling around him like vultures at this point. But they've been playing so much better, and they're playing at home. They have a lot more firepower because the Jets' offense is garbage water. It really is. It's terrible. So I have the Jacksonville Jaguars winning this one. Moving forward, NFC North battle. You have a team that is fighting for their playoff lives in the Minnesota Vikings, and they will be actually playing host to the Chicago Bears. Now the Bears, coming off of a overtime loss to the Seattle Seahawks, who surprisingly have their number in the regular season at Chicago. Like, Pete Carroll doesn't lose to them in Chicago regular season wise. He got his ass kicked in the playoffs, but regular season, they're finding ways. The Seahawks have their number at this point. But I digress. A lot of people are saying that Minnesota could pull out the upset on this one. But outside of Peterson, they're not going to have Percy Harvin. Christian Ponder has not been playing the way he played the first 5 weeks of the season. And yeah, the Chicago defense is banged up, but I don't count them out. I like Chicago in this one, even though it's at Minnesota. I just think that they know that that loss is still a bitter pill to swallow. You know, they got a bad taste in their mouth because of that game. And they're going to take it out on Minnesota. So, I have the Bears. Sorry, I'm not picking the upset for the Vikings on this one. Next up, San Diego Chargers at the Pittsburgh Steelers. San Diego Chargers. Wow. Well, we all know this. I mean, even though they don't want to say it's confirmed, but I think it's all but set in stone at this point. Norv Turner and A.J. Smith are gone from San Diego at the end of this season. They are finally wiping their hands clean of the A.J. Smith, Norv Turner regime. It's been a sucky one. A very sucky one. You know what I mean? They have not done anything. They find great ways to lose. If it wasn't for the Dallas Cowboys, they would be at the forefront of finding the most creative ways to give away games. They're a turnover-prone team. Whether it's Phillip Rivers giving the ball away at the very last possession in the fourth quarter, or Ryan Matthews who couldn't hold the ball if it was duct taped, super glued, and gorilla glued to his wrist. That team is garbage. And Robert Meacham should have stayed in New Orleans. You got big money, but you suck. They're traveling to Pittsburgh. They may be getting Roethlisberger back. Even if they don't have Roethlisberger, they're at Pittsburgh, and they ain't losing to the Chargers. I don't see the Chargers pulling this one out. The team is garbage. Steelers. Speaking of garbage team, we're going to go to another garbage squad. This one resides in Pennsylvania. That isn't the Steelers, because they don't suck. The Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, the Philadelphia Eagles with another coach who's pretty much done. His tenure at Philly is done. Andy Reid is done at Philly. If he stays, he might not live. Let's just put it this way. There's going to be some pissed off Philly fans if he stays. This team has lost, 8 straight now? The Philadelphia Phillies have won a game more recently than the Philadelphia Eagles. Think about that. How terrible is that, folks? And they're traveling to Tampa Bay, and they're playing a Tampa Bay Buccaneers team who still has a long shot, of making the postseason. Tampa Bay's at home. Of course, Philadelphia Eagles, Tampa Bay Buccaneers are no stranger to each other. Tampa Bay went to Philly, beat the Eagles, made it to the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl. So, it's not those two teams. And, of course, Josh Freeman, Doug Martin, Vincent Jackson. Against that pass defense of the Eagles. Yeah, this one's not going to be even close. I have the Buccaneers in this one. Moving forward, the Baltimore Ravens. Yes, a team that I can break down a playoff scenario for. Baltimore Ravens are traveling to Washington to play RG3 and the Washington Redskins, who are coming off an excellent Monday night win over the New York Giants. The Baltimore Ravens can clinch the division with the following scenario. For one, win. They do that, they would need Cincinnati and Pittsburgh to lose. Those two teams lose, they're the AFC North champions. Even if they don't clinch the division, they can still clinch a playoff berth with a win and a Steelers and Bengals loss. Or they can tie and then have Pittsburgh and Cincinnati lose. So they have 3 scenarios where they can, 2 scenarios to clinch a playoff berth, and then of course they have the one that they can actually clinch the division. For one, it has to start with they have to win. They just have to win. And then let the chips fall where they may. Let their two big division rivals lose. Those two division rivals lose, and matter of fact, they have the early games. So all they have to do is sit back and wait. They find out that Steelers somehow get upset by the Chargers and the Bengals lose to the Cowboys. They know all they have to do is handle business at the Redskins. And they're in. Simple as that. Washington Redskins, like I said, RG3, like I said with Andrew Luck, amazing rookie quarterback. He is in the front seat for Rookie of the Year offensively. Excuse me. And the Redskins, like I said, they're coming off a victory over a division rival, New York Giants. And they're a game behind the Giants in the NFC East. So they're not out of it. They're in the playoff hunt just as much as anybody else in the NFC. But they can also win their division. They have a split with the New York Giants. So they're just trying to keep pace. Unfortunately, I think Baltimore comes in there with the win. Yes, I know I'm going against conventional wisdom and picking the Ravens to win on the road. The Ravens suck on the road. Yes, they do. They are terrible. But I think losing to the Steelers at home, which broke their 15-game home winning streak, yeah, I think they're pissed. So they're probably going to take it out on the Redskins. It's not going to be a blowout, but they will get out of Washington with a win. So there you have it. This next matchup, we have the Miami Dolphins traveling coast to coast to the stick to play the San Francisco 49ers. Now, 49ers, they have a bad taste in their mouths as well for giving away a divisional game to the St. Louis Rams. And if you watch that game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Safety in the end zone, a very, very suspect and a very shitty call on third down for an option pitch. And David Akers reverting back to his Philadelphia Eagle days and shanking field goals in the clutch. Having said all that, the 49ers actually have a situation where they can clinch a playoff berth today. But this is almost damn near an algebraic formula on how they can clinch. For one, they need to win. And now they have two scenarios given if they win. They need to have Dallas lose. They need to have the Vikings lose. They need to have the Buccaneers lose. And they need to have the St. Louis Rams either lose or tie. Also, the other scenario is you take the first three teams that I mentioned, Dallas, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, or actually the four teams, Dallas, Tampa Bay, Minnesota, and Washington. These teams lose. Just like in the first scenario. They lose. Now, if St. Louis wins, all is not lost because they would need for the Seattle Seahawks to lose or tie. So, their best bet is hoping that the Rams lose. Because when I discussed the Seattle Seahawks game, I don't see Seattle losing. But, having said that, the 49ers are playing the Dolphins. Under Harbaugh, the 49ers have not lost back-to-back games. I don't see that happening. They're not going to lose another game. They don't lose back-to-back under Harbaugh. Matter of fact, they are, 6-0 whenever they lose a game under Harbaugh. They've not lost back-to-back games under his regime. And they're pissed. I guarantee you that. They are very pissed. And they're getting the Dolphins, who have regressed big time, who were once in the hunt for the playoffs. Now they're just playing for pride. And unfortunately, they're going to play a team that is very pissed. And a team that doesn't lose back-to-back games. And it's not going to start here. 49ers. You can tell who I'm a fan of, can't you? Next up, next afternoon game, we have the New Orleans Saints traveling to MetLife to take on the New York Giants. The New York Giants are coming off a loss to the Redskins. I mentioned that earlier. They're playing a New Orleans Saints team that has had their number. Drew Brees is 4-0 against the Giants. And in that span, he has thrown 11 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. But of course, if you remember the last game Drew Brees just played, he threw 5. Dylon, and Dylon because he spits hot fire. Yes, he threw 5 interceptions in the game against the Atlanta Falcons and also broke his 54-game streak of at least one touchdown pass thrown. Thing is, he's beaten the Giants. But if I'm not mistaken, those games have been at home. Dome. He's traveling to the Giants. Open field. Grass. Not to say he won't get his numbers, but he's not gonna run wild on the Giants. The Giants know that they're giving up a lot of ground in the NFC East. They've got they've got the Redskins and the Cowboys breathing down their neck. They can't afford to lose, and they know that, and they play their best ball when they're desperate. This is why I have the Giants beating the Saints. For one, the Saints are traveling on the road. They're not at home. They're not at the Dome, where they own the Giants. Two, the Giants are desperate, and the Giants want to get some breathing room and not having the Redskins and Cowboys breathing down their necks. So, I have the Giants winning this one. Next up, Arizona Cardinals, Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks are at home. Where do you think I'm going with this one? Exactly. Seahawks. Cardinals, it doesn't matter who they start. They can start Cobb, they can start Skelton, they can start Lindley. It doesn't matter. That team is garbage. And they're going to one of, if not the toughest place to play. Seattle. Seahawks, folks. Sunday night, NFC North battle. We have the Detroit Lions, who have thoroughly fallen completely the off, traveling to Lambeau to take on the Green Bay Packers, the streaky Green Bay Packers, who are looking to wrest away the NFC North division title from the Chicago Bears, who were in the driver's seat, and then they slipped. They're at Lambeau. Yeah, I'm going Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers is not going to let the Detroit Lions do anything to him. You also got to remember the last time the Detroit Lions played at Green Bay, they got Matt Flynn a big contract at Seattle to sit on the bench for millions. Detroit's not going to beat Green Bay at Green Bay. It's just not going to happen. Packers. The final game, ladies and gentlemen. Final game, Monday night game, is a huge one. This is a potential AFC Championship matchup here. The Houston Texans are traveling to Foxborough to take on the New England Patriots. Now, the Houston Texans are still sitting as the #1 team in the AFC. They have 3 scenarios here, and I'm going to break them down. They can win their division with a win at Foxborough, and they need the Colts to either lose or tie in their game against the Titans. Or the Houston Texans can tie and the Colts lose. Colts lose, Texans tie, or the Colts lose or tie and the Houston Texans win, they win the division. They can win, or they can get a first round bye if they win and have the Colts lose or tie, and then the Ravens lose or tie. Or they get a win in an Indy loss, or the Denver Broncos lose or tie. Now, the caveat, the third one, the Houston Texans can get home field advantage, be the #1 team in the AFC if they win and the Indianapolis Colts lose or tie, the Baltimore Ravens lose, and the Denver Broncos lose. Because they own the tiebreaker over Denver and Baltimore anyway. But those 2 teams lose, couple that with the Colts loss or tie, and the Houston Texans win, they are the #1 team in the AFC going into the playoffs. They will have home field advantage. The road to the Super Bowl will go through Reliance Stadium. Unfortunately, I don't see them doing that. Tom Brady lives for these games. I'm not the biggest Tom Brady fan. You should know that by now. But I do respect his skill set. I do respect what he has accomplished and what he can do, especially at home. And you know Belichick is going to be salivating to find a way to embarrass this team, to beat this team, to show the NFL, much less the AFC, that New England still runs it. And I think New England pulls it out. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a hard-fought game, but I think New England wins this one. So, there are my picks, ladies and gentlemen. I missed you all. I know you missed my face. I need to shave. Yeah, but I'm getting ready to assume a new gig where I'll actually have days and actually have a weekend and all that good stuff. So, you won't see me as grungy as I am now, but those are my picks. I missed you all, and good luck to your teams today. Peace.